Good day everyone, we are the WINX Club Group and we are going to present our group assessment that we work on. Here's the members of our group: Domdom Angelica, Duhaylungsod Kyziah Mae, Furto Bheatrice Alliah, Gotengco Marione, Guevarra Ashley, and Mendoza Allyzza.
Mr. A has this estafa case and the case reached the Supreme Court. Unfortunately, he lost the case. As we all know, when a case reaches the Supreme Court, the same is published in every website discussing Philippine jurisprudence. Now, every time someone key in his name in the web search engines, the estafa case is displayed as one of its results. Due to such, Mr. A suffered humiliation and embarrassment from people who chance upon such search result of his name. Because of this, he wants his name be removed from such websites and he therefore invokes his constitutional right to privacy. The issue: can a person request that his name be removed from such websites pertaining to Supreme Court decided cases, as the same is a violation of his right to privacy? Why or why not? Every individual can request his or her name to be removed on a particular site. Under Republic Act 10173 or the Data Privacy Act of 2012, the individual from which personal data is collected, stored, and processed is called the data subject. Organizations dealing with your personal data, your locations, and your preferences are obliged to consider and respect your data protection rights. The data subject reserves the right to complain if personal information appears to be misused, maliciously disclosed, or improperly disposed of, or if any of the rights described here are violated. Under this law, you treat your personal information almost literally as your personal property. To protect you from unreasonable ways of collecting personal data, this right also has the Personal Data Administrator or PIC to notify you in a timely manner if your data is compromised. As a data subject, you have the right to be informed that your personal data has been collected or processed.
According to Jackie Gasquet, demanding expulsion is not applicable because it violates its right to privacy. The Philippines has no precise right of privacy. However, the 1987 Constitution attempted to include provisions for the right to privacy in Article 3 of Bill of Rights. Section 2 of Article 3 describes the jurisdiction of the federal courts. It is the power of a court to hear a case. So this section tells us what kind of cases the Supreme Court and other federal courts will hear. In Section 3 of Bill of Rights, the privacy of communication and correspondence shall be inviolable except upon lawful order of the court or when public safety or order requires otherwise as prescribed by the law. Any evidence obtained in violation of this or the preceding section shall be inadmissible for any purpose in any proceeding. Basically, we can draw out what the Constitution guarantees, as with regard to the right to privacy are the rights against unreasonable searches and seizures, and the privacy of communication and correspondence. The situation brought up by such facts neither falls in the said classification. Note also that under Section 7, Article 3 of the Constitution, the right of the people to information on matters of public concern shall be recognized. A citizen has the right to access to official records and to documents and papers pertaining to official acts, transactions, or decisions, subject to the limitations provided by law. Hence, the case being jurisprudence, one has the right to access such information. In conclusion, due to the fact that the Philippines has no specific right of privacy for this matter, it is still not possible to remove his data in websites in particular. Although different countries like USA sustain their own laws that solve this type of case are different from this country. Given in the situation, a person cannot petition that his privacy right has been violated because of the publication of his name, along with the case he was involved in. It does not prohibit the publication of matters which are public or general, according to the right to privacy. In terms of privacy rights, the Constitution ensures the right against unreasonable searches and seizures and the confidentiality of communication and correspondence. The situation raised by such facts does not fall into either of the aforementioned categories.
Discuss the concepts of identity theft. its impact to an individual or an organization, and give your recommendation and conclusion.
Concept of identity theft. According to Julia Kagan, identity theft is a crime that gathers personal or financial information of another person so that they can use their identity to commit fraud. So there are several types of identity theft. We include financial identity theft. It is the most common form of identity theft since it happens. And the next one is the social security identity theft, wherein your social security number, they can use it in applying for something like the credit cards, loans, and then they not gonna pay it. So, once they not gonna pay it, you're the one who conducted since it's your social security number that is given to them. Next is the medical identity theft, wherein a person uses another person's name who is under the free medical care, for example, a disabled person, in order to get the credits that disabled person gets that he cannot have. So you're gonna use that person identity in order to have good benefits. Synthetic identity theft, wherein it is a type of fraud because it is a combination of a fake and a real identity in order to create a new identity. So, example for that is a fake and synthetic identity of lies in a credit card company. So they are approved since there are no history about that person. That later on they gonna see that it is not a real person because they gonna know the truth in the end. Child identity theft. There are some uses a child identity for their personal gain. So here in the Philippines, there are government institutions who focuses in the single mothers so that they can be financially. And if a person pretends to be a mother and uses another children's name, a person will pretend get some money in this one. Here in task identity theft, they will gonna use your personal information and it includes here your social number. Since it has a lot of functions in our country, task identity theft, there are a lot of people who pass taxes and another so files can collect a refund in this one. And it depends on the situation. If a thief attempt in this one, the real owner of that information or that social security number might have a secret consequences that is hard to do. Lastly, the criminal identity thief is I know a lot of people were familiar in this one since a movie, TV, or any dramas this kind of thief were adapted. So here, if you are a criminal, you're gonna use another person name and you're gonna change your personal appearance in order to not to get caught. So you are avoiding an arrest or the conviction of record here.
A crime is a deliberate act that cause of physical or biological harm, damage to loss of priority and against the law. There are lots of different types of crime, and nearly everyone will be experience a crime. At the some point in their lives, their 3 stages of deducting crime include the discovery of committed crime, identification of suspect, and the gathering of evidence significant to change the suspect in court on law. Illegal activity in general and illegal action which can be publishing by law. Crime denotes unuseful act publishing by instinct. It also important to protect your network from attacks over the internet by keeping your router secure. And your router direct traffic between local network and the internet. If you don't take steps to secure your router, stranger could gain access to sensitive personal or financial information on your device. Keep up with your system and software security updates, and avail the power adjust your browser setting, install antivirus, anti-spyware, and software encrypting your data.
What is due process and its aspects?
The common interpretation of the concept of due process is broader and may include the rules applicable in case of deprivation of liberty, rules related to property, and rules related to administrative procedures. Due process of law is interpreted here as rules that are administered through courts of justice in accordance with established and sanctioned legal principles and procedures, with safeguards for the protection of the individual rights. Due process is a requirement that legal matters be resolved according to established rules and principles, and that individuals be treated fairly and applies to both civil and criminal matters. Moreover, the supervisory mechanism discussed in this book have repeatedly illustrated that the administration of justice of courts does have a major impact on the exercise of power within states, such as public prosecution and the actions of the police and penitentiary authorities.
Due process means that legal issues must be resolved in accordance with established norms and principles, and that people must be treated fairly. Both civil and criminal cases are subject to due process. Due process is the legal requirement that the state must respect all legal rights that are owned to a person. It balances the power of law of the land and protect the individual person from it. The purpose of due process is to interpret the right to be treated fairly, efficiently, and effectively by the administration of justice. The right to due process place limitations on law and legal proceedings to guarantee fundamental fairness and justice. Due process has two parts. First, substantive due process. It is the notion that due process not only protects certain legal procedures, but also protects certain rights unrelated to procedure. Second, procedural due process. It refers to the constitutional requirement that when the federal government acts in such a way that denies a citizens of life, liberty, or property interest, the person must be given notice, the opportunity to be heard, and the decision by neutral decision maker. In conclusion, due process, the legal process according to the rules and principles established in a legal system for the enforcement and protection of private rights. In each case, the proceedings included the exercise of government power as permitted by law and sanctioned, under recognized safeguards to protect individual rights.